It's time for that weekly Q&A where I'm answering your questions. I'm going to be live on Instagram. I'm going to be looking over here for YouTube, so you will see me dashing between the two. But I want to answer a question that is a very, very common one. Since I have embarked on my own journey of attachment healing, this is something I get asked about a lot. It's really important. I totally get it. It's that idea around really becoming attracted and holding space for yourself as you become unattracted to people who are unavailable. So this question is one that I got asked on my weekly Q&A that I do in my stories. So you can always add your questions there once a week. I tend to do it on a Sunday. Hello, if you're joining me live. The question is, say you have always wanted someone who is committed, open, and totally transparent. Then you finally get it, and suddenly you feel it's too much / overwhelming, and you're not as sexually attractive to, and it's not as sexually attractive to you. So you're not as attracted to something that you say that you always wanted, which is someone committed, open, totally transparent. And the question is like, why? Why does this happen? So I do have plenty actually of material on why you're attracted to people who are unavailable, and signs as well that you might not be as available as you believe you are or think you are. So I have that available on my YouTube already. But firstly, there's a couple of things I want to say about this question, because I don't know who this person is. I don't know them. I actually don't know you in detail when it comes to these things. So I don't know when it comes to these patterns, when this person is committed, open, and totally transparent. Sometimes if that's new to you, we don't really know what is healthy, what is balanced, like what is unhealthy. So for all I know, actually this person is quite over the top. They are an oversharer. They lack boundaries in the way that they're being open and totally transparent. So it might be that it feels too much, because that can happen, especially if that other person is anxious or, like I say, lacks boundaries. So I really don't know. And the other thing is, it might be that you're not attracted to this person individually. You don't have to judge yourself for this experience or make it about you or something you're doing or not doing. That can be the case. So I really want to put that out there. However, the fact that this question is being asked, we can assume that there's a pattern here, right? We can assume that it's before you felt that as soon as you meet someone who perhaps seems available, seems open, transparent, ready to commit, that you find that too much and overwhelming. When we talk about too much and overwhelming, we're really talking about what's happening with your nervous system here. So let's talk about the key issue in this question, which is the experience of someone committed, open, and transparent feeling overwhelming. And I just want to hold that a minute. Like, let's really notice what we're talking about. We're talking about it feeling overwhelming when you experience this. So that means that there are feelings coming up, experiences happening that are uncomfortable in your body, fears that are being brought up. And it's likely that this is not conscious. It's likely that you're just straight into self-protective mode, which is, this is too much. I find this frustrating. This is annoying. Whatever it is, they're common examples. I'm not saying that that's the case for this person. But fears are being brought up, and parts of you are now in conflict, probably because you're doing this work, right? So you're now at a place where you recognize this is happening. You recognize that this is qualities that you want to experience in your life, in your relationships. And you're also recognizing that it feels a lot for you. It feels a lot for your body, and that the thoughts that you have around that are probably enhancing that experience, or they're enhancing each other. And it's really frustrating actually when you find yourself in this conflict, when there's something that you want so deeply, that you desire, but there's this other conflict that we often follow. If it's discomfort, if it's overwhelming, that might be the one that we follow. So I don't look, can you come back once you're not sexually attracted to someone, once you've like, if it's turned into the ick? I get that question a lot. I don't know. It might be that in this moment in time, you're still doing the work. And actually you can use this as a really great level to a really great experience to help you to level up. So don't worry about that. But this is a skill that you can build. So if there is a relationship here with this person, you might find that this is something that can grow. You don't have to force it though. You must have connection with that inner knowing. And if you don't, if you're just at kind of in this conflict and you really don't know what you want, then that indicates to me that there's a broken down relationship with yourself, with your intuition, with that inner knowing. We had a masterclass yesterday actually inside Follow Your Fire in the membership about being attached to your ex or attached to someone. You can get the replay in the membership. And the expert we had, Dorothy, the breakup coach, she was talking about this as the inner voice. I call it the inner knowing, but it's that relationship you have with yourself. But I'm going to give you 3 tips, if you like, that can really help you when it comes to starting to build that attraction, that skill to someone more available, someone secure. And look, you are an individual person, and what it's going to take for you to make this shift, I can't give you that without knowing you, without speaking to you. Okay. But I can give you some ideas of what's helped for me, what helps for my clients, and what we know in the research, and the feedback that we get when it comes to healing attachments. So I'm going to give you just the 3 tips. You take what you can from this and you leave what doesn't apply to you. And you know that there's plenty more like bits of tips and advice and tools that I could give you, but we're on a YouTube channel and an Instagram live, so we've got to keep it limited. So the first thing is I really want you to communicate with these different conflicted parts. This is something that we do not do enough of. This is why we're so shut down from that inner knowing and our intuition, because we literally don't communicate with ourselves. So that's one of the first things that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to start to say, I really noticed that part of me is overwhelmed. Part of me finds this person too much. Part of me is really, really wanting the commitment and really desiring this person or these kind of characteristics. Why is it that there is this conflict? One isn't bad and one isn't good. My clients actually, I think, get a bit tired of me saying, like, we're not going to dismiss the parts. You can't dismiss them anymore. So that's something that we definitely have to stop ourselves from doing moving forward. So no more neglecting parts of yourself, no more saying parts are good, parts are bad. Just communicate with the why. Why is it so overwhelming? Why are you feeling this? What's happening? Answers will come up if you take the space to ask yourself. The next is to teach these parts of you, to teach them what it is to experience commitment, openness, and total transparency. If you can't accept this from someone else, I find it hard to believe that you're giving it to yourself, because it's alien to you. That's why you're feeling so much discomfort, because you are not used to feeling the openness and the transparency and the commitment. So start to show yourself what that looks like. Think outside the box. Think outside the box. If you want actual tips, actual tools, actual ideas, then come inside the membership. Like, we are talking about this inside there. Come inside, Follow Your Fire. That's my online community for all things attachment styles, healing, rediscovering yourself, which is exactly what we're talking about, rediscovering these parts of yourself. If you're not in the membership and you're asking yourself these questions of how do I do it, like, the best decision you're going to make is to come and join the community, because this is what we're talking about in there. The other way that you can teach these parts of yourself, apart from just showing them, is actually to start imagining it. Come up with a practice where you are imagining not just to have someone who's committed, open, transparent, available, respectful, listening, but begin to imagine every day, what it would feel like. We get so stuck on that list, but if your body has no idea of what that could feel like, it's probably going to reject it and go back to what it knows, go back to the familiar, unavailable, the hot and cold, the inconsistency, the anxiety. It will go back to what it knows. So slowly start teaching it and showing it what these new feelings in a committed relationship can feel like. And then when you meet someone who can offer those things, it's not going to be so alien. You're not going to be like, what is this? If anything, you might welcome it and be like, this is what I've been imagining. This is what I've been dreaming of. So we've got to communicate with these parts of you. We've got to teach them and show them. So show these parts of you. The next, and this is the part that you probably don't want to hear, is about incremental change. This is about small shifts, small wins. Small wins when you do go on a date with someone who seems to be more available. Small wins when you do open up a bit more in conversation, or you do say no to that person, or that person reaches out again and you say, no, thank you, I am done with that. Actually, they're not small steps, they are massive. We know that. If you know, you know. But what other small steps can you take? Like, for example, this relationship with this question, what small steps can you take to lean in to the openness, to the transparency, to the commitment? What small steps can you do to hold yourself safe when you're around this person, allowing yourself to experience this new feeling, to lean into it, to notice when you're overwhelmed, to notice when it feels like too much, and rather than to blame that on the other person, to meet that part of you with curiosity. I notice when they pay me a compliment. I notice when they actually want to see me, that feels overwhelming, and I'm with myself through that. And I'm going to support myself through that. I'm not going to blame it on the other person for being too much and all of these things, especially if this is a healthy amount. Something to remember is that if you are used to going for people who are not able to give you these things and who are not available, someone who is secure might feel like too much. Forget someone who is actually like real anxious and is perhaps, yeah, like I say, lacking boundaries and wanting to be in your space all the time and those kind of behaviors. Even secure might feel like too much if you're not used to it. Okay, so small changes to lean in. And feel free to slow down with this person and feel free to have these conversations. You don't have to go into the whys and the deep traumas or the stories that have got you here, but you can explain, hey, there's this pattern, there's these parts of me that I'm working on, and going at a slow pace is what I need right now. We want to speed up. We want to have answers right now. It doesn't work like that. Attachment healing is a slower process. I know you don't want to hear that, especially if there's anxiety, especially if you feel like you're on a timeline or you want to meet someone. We have this urgency to speed up. Anxious attachment, insecure anxious attachment is especially about that wanting to speed up and wanting to rush things. So it makes sense, right, that a lot of the healing is in starting to slow down and teaching your nervous system a new way. So starting to get that attraction back to secure, because this is something that we desired from the moment we were born, but weren't necessarily taught that or shown that or experienced that, then it's a case of learning. It's a skill to be learned. This is something that you can pick up on. I hope that helps when it comes to becoming more available yourself. Like I say, you can check out my YouTube or DM me and I'll send you the specific links for the videos that I've got on why you're attracted to emotionally unavailable people and 4 signs that you are not as available as you think you are. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. Do not forget, you're enough, you are lovable, you are so, so worthy, and you are irreplaceable.